No, it can. I mean, listen, like that's. I mean, it's also, I've been here for several hurricanes, and they're never as big of a deal as people want to make them out to be. But what I would say is it also protects you from debris that flies around too. Like you got hurricane winds that are ripping at 70, 80 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. A tree branch gets loose and it flies through your window. And it's no bueno. You know what I mean? It's not a good time. So that's also another reason for hurricane impacts glass too. But the wind for sure is one of the main issues and a huge reason for that.
Yeah. So as a contractor, just knowing everything that you know, if you're walking into a house and you're deciding, hey, am I going to buy this? Am I not going to buy this? Like, what would you say are, we'll say like top 3 things that you're going to want to go check out just to make sure it's good to go and there's no skeletons in the closet?
Yeah, I mean, that's really a subjective question. I mean,
100%. So.
Yeah, really subjective question. Like, it kind of just depends on what your budget is like and what, you're looking for. If you're just looking for a place that's going to provide you shelter, you obviously want to make sure that the plumbing systems, the mechanical systems, the electrical systems, and the roof, the most important parts, the functionality and the utility of your home is obviously in good shape. Especially the air conditioning and HVAC systems, like that's the whole reason why we can exist here is because of that, right? But also you have people in higher income brackets that are looking at primarily finished work, and the roof and the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems are all kind of a given,
right?
And it's kind of like, okay, I just expect that to be up to date and in place. Now let me look at the finishes. Like, what kind of countertop did you use? What material is your countertop? What upgrades have you done to the home previously? If it's someone that previously owned the home, and like depending on, again, if you want to move into the even higher tax bracket and the even higher end homes, people looking for how square and plumb are your walls. What level finishes the drywall. When you did the interior finish work, was all of the trim done properly, and are there any gaps in the baseboard? Or just little things. It's really just a matter of what your priorities are. But I would definitely say make sure that your plumbing, mechanical, electrical systems are up to date and in place. That if there's any outdated air handling units or whatever, outdated roof, I would definitely check into that. A huge thing for these older homes too in South Florida now is your attic insulation. Your attic insulation, if it's at an older home and it hasn't been replaced in 20, 30 years, it could be a fire risk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. So it could, it's, again, nowadays it's all spray foam insulation, so there's not really a concern, worry about that. But a lot of the time it's just blow-in matte insulation that they used back in the day, and that was it was acceptable, and people weren't thinking about 20, 30 years on the line, if something happens, is this going to be a fire risk? Like, that just wasn't the standard. So
right. Man, that's wild.
Yeah.
With the insulation up in the attic, okay, first off, like I think it's like the soffits or the baffles, like I think it's called the baffles, if I recall correctly, on the eaves. Are there issues you've noticed where wind will actually get up in there and just throw the insulation all over the place? Because, maybe not, but in some places I know that's definitely an issue.
No, that doesn't really happen with the insulation. I would think that would affect the roof line a little bit more, and maybe your gutter systems. But it just really, that would just really affect your roof line, if anything.
Gotcha. So. Okay. All right. Well, moving on a little bit then.
100%.
I know, like West Palm Beach, the whole Palm Beach County area, sometimes it kind of feels like we live in the shadow of Miami to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who kind of get us mixed up a little bit there. So I guess for you, like, how would you say Miami, Palm Beach County, like they're like and dislike of each other?
Personally, This is again my personal opinion. I do not like Miami that much. I think Miami, Miami's not just a city, right? It's not just Brickell. It's not just like Coconut Grove. It's not like, it's not South Beach. That's not like, it's like, that's the city of Miami.
Yeah.
Right. But like Miami itself is, you got Doral, you got Hialeah, you got Kendall, you got Coral Gables, you got, even as far down as like, Homestead, even like that's kind of considered, like, I guess you consider that part of Miami too. Like you have, I mean, even if you go north, like, Aventura is different. Like Miami is, you have to think about Miami, the way that I think about it is more of like a county and less of a city. Like, because, the city of Miami is great, in that Brickell area, but it's kind of just, again, like subjective. Like, what are you into? Like in Miami, the nightlife is huge, right? Everybody thinks about Miami nightlife, right? The restaurants in Miami, phenomenal, world-class restaurants. If you like that, great. I would just say that the vibe around Miami that I've seen is not my not my vibe, and I feel like there are a lot of people with money in Miami. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people in Miami have a lot of money, but there are those, kind of like LA, where there's like those subsect of people who, they put holes in their exhaust and they drive their Lamborghini down, they rent a Lamborghini down, in Brickell, and it's just kind of like a flex, and you have these kind of paper tiger-esque type people where they're just there to flex on you, and like those really aren't my people. Like, I mean, kind of the same thing with the girls down there too. You kind of have that superficial kind of nature about them. Again, there are a lot of girls in Miami outside of the city maybe that like are absolutely phenomenal girls. This isn't like a blanket thing. It's just saying from my experience.
It's kind of a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing. And then also in Miami too, the biggest, I guess, one of the biggest things for me is that, if you're in the city of Miami, you can speak English and most people will converse with you in English. But I mean, if you're, again, in Kendall, Doral, Hialeah, like some of these other places around Miami, you got to know how to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
That's like a prerequisite. You got to know how to speak Spanish. And I'm Italian. I don't know how to speak Spanish. I grew up here. Like, I don't really know Spanish. I mean, I know some Spanish. I know some of it just to get me around. I went to Spanish class in high school, but like, I'm not proficient by any means. So, that's very much the culture down there, is like a very like Latin rooted culture. And those people are absolutely phenomenal. Some of the best people on the planet are Cubans from Miami. Like one of my mentors and my former boss, best boss I've ever had in my life, Cuban guy from Miami. And he was the best guy ever, So it's not a testament to like the quality of the character. It's just more so of like the cultural aspect, I guess.
Yeah, no, and that's perfectly fair, So,
yeah.
So definitely, those two areas, two completely separate environments.
100%.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, God, like flex culture, it's, I don't know, for me, you see a little bit of it here, but honestly, kind of the vibe here seems to be, if you got to tell everyone that you got a lot of money, you probably don't have a lot of money. That's kind of the energy here.
Yeah, no, the energy here is the complete opposite. The energy here is, I've got money and I don't want anybody to know about it.
Yeah, I don't have to prove it to you. I don't want you to know.
It's not even like I don't want to prove it to you. It's I don't want you to know.
I'm here to be normal.
Yeah, like I don't even want you to know. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like only my friends know what I got going on, and other than that, like I kind of just chill in my house and play golf and go to the country club or do whatever I need to do. And I hope nobody knows. I'm not gonna walk down Worth Avenue on Palm Beach Island in a Gucci suit. Like, you're never gonna see that.
Yeah.
If you see like fashion brands, it's more of those like quiet luxury fashion brands, like a Loro Piana, or Brunello Cucinelli, or like one of those type brands where like it's not like a facey type brand. It's like if you know type thing. So I would say it's, Palm Beach, specifically Palm Beach has, if there's any place on the planet that I would compare it to, it'd be Monaco. I don't know if you've been to Monaco, but it's got that Saint-Tropez, Monaco, Cannes, France. Like, it's got that European-esque feel to it where, you know, people in France, like people in Monaco, for example, are very similar to people in Palm Beach, where it's kind of like a quiet, like luxury type thing, even though, you know, at times it can be super loud.